just done that morning, and I'm not sure what they're gonna do.
Well, we wish you the best on that.
Yeah.
Just let us know.
We do have a closed tab?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's it? What,
Kevin's not here.
what's the closed session?
We had a question for Aaron,
I haven't seen her.
Oh,
and so he's coming,
Here.
so Kathy, thank you.
Well, it's longer for you.
We asked for this one ourselves.
it's our own fault.
Remember that?
Gosh, I remember now.
He said, could Aaron come back in 2
Is
weeks?
that her husband's
come
dad
on.
unexpected?
Will he be in his jammies? Because that's going to be late. I'd be in my jammies already.
We'll keep this moving.
Oh, that's fine. Why do we have to meet them? Because we
I
asked.
knew Barb a little, real well, but.
Oh, on his birthday? Oh, it's tough. Yeah. Yeah, Barb was really involved in restorative justice there for a number of years.
Yeah, that's where I met her.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just about ready here.
Welcome to South St. Paul City Hall and the August 26, 2019 meeting of the South St. Paul School Board. Wendy, will you please take the roll?
Inspector Diaz?
Here.
Inspector McClellan?
Here.
Inspector Walker?
Here?
Inspector Arend?
Here.
Inspector Lalaberty?
Here.
Inspector Felton is present. Inspector Bjorklund is absent this evening.
Thank you. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We will start off our meeting tonight with the approval of the agenda, along with the minutes from meetings from 2 weeks ago. So that's the school board agenda for tonight, August 26th, 2019. The committee of the whole meeting minutes from August 12th, 2019, and the regular board meeting minutes from August 12th, 2019. Do I have a motion for their approval?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The motion passes and the agenda and minutes are approved. Tonight, with our quality in action, we have a few different items. The first is inviting Dr. Chad Schmidt up to the podium to talk about the IB diploma program, give us an update on that. So welcome, Chad, and thank you for coming out this evening.
Right. Thank you, Chair Walker and members of the board, Superintendent Webb, and South St. Paul community. It is my pleasure to be here tonight to provide a brief update on the IB diploma program. This report was given at the Committee of the Whole meeting earlier this evening, and so this is a summary of that report. Each of our IB diploma program courses provides developmental opportunities and supports for students to work on the attributes of the IB learner profile. So we encourage students to be inquirers, knowledgeable thinkers, communicators who take principled action, remain open-minded, caring risk takers who are also balanced and reflective. And so this is part of the core foundation of all IB programs, and it's part of our diploma program courses that I wanted to start this presentation with as a reminder that this is what we're trying to build, are well-rounded, whole students who can do these kinds of things. The IB diploma program is organized into 6 subject area groups. You can see those listed here. At South St. Paul Secondary, listed under each group name are the courses that we offer in those areas. And what we know from 2018-19 is that we had over 310 students enroll in at least one IB diploma program course. That is up 1% from where we were the year before. 951 students, total IB diploma course enrollments. That's down 5% from the year before. 158 students who completed at least one IB diploma program exam, which is down 6% from the year before. And 353 total examinations completed, which is down 14% from the year before. So while we're excited to see slightly more students taking courses, we recognize that our students are completing the examinations in less of them than we have been in the past. Those examinations produce scores, and those scores are on a range of 1 to 7. A successful score is typically considered at a score of 4. And so on this table here, you see 3-year trend information. All tests are listed on bottom in bold. And this year in 2018-19, a full 50% of the 353 exams that were taken produced a score of 4 or higher. The 2 rows above that, SL stands for standard level, and that typically represents a 1-year course of study. And HL, higher level, typically represents a 2-year course of study. And you can see that 2/3 or 66% of students in the higher level exams received a score of 4 or higher. Some people might ask why a score of 4 or higher. In addition to it being a common marker of success, it is also what many universities will use to award college credit. And so each university sets their own criteria and sets their own markers. So I'm not trying to suggest that everyone uses this, but it is a way that we try to communicate around that. So some of the quick conclusions we would make. Over 300 plus IB diploma program participants is well over our 5-year average. You can see the number of exams administered is also over 25 higher than our 5-year average. And 21 IB diploma program courses is almost 3 courses over our 5-year average. So we see more students taking more courses and more exams, and that opportunity is something that we celebrate and are proud of. The students, so that bottom row is just an estimate to provide a number to the idea that upwards of $200,000 in potential university savings for our students and families by taking diploma program courses and being successful in them while at South St. Paul Secondary is something that we are happy and proud of as well. There are areas that we work on for improvement. Our IB coordinator, Conrad Anderson, who couldn't be here this evening, but he works with teachers who teach the diploma program courses. He makes sure they attend training. He connects them with other networks in Minnesota, in the Minnesota IB network. And we also work with them in small teams and one-on-one to help with their improvements in their specific course areas. So that is just a very brief update on a report that was provided earlier this evening at the Committee of the Whole meeting.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second item, we'll look to Dr. Webb to give us an update on the MDHR and the semi-annual report that has been given to them. I will let the viewing public know that these reports that we're giving now have been already discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting before this one, so we may not have questions or comments coming forward because we talked about them previously at the meeting before, but we do think it's important to give all of this information to you at this meeting so that you see it, but we just may not have comments or questions. So with that, we'll hand it off to Dr. Webb.
Thanks, Chair Walker. A couple of updates tonight on our Minnesota Department of Human Rights report. So we had the full report at our previous work session, but I wanted to give you the highlights, and the community are highlights tonight. So each 6-month period, so twice a year, we want to provide our yearly updates to the school board and community about our progress with decreasing disproportionality in suspension rates for South St. Paul schools. So the good news that we have for you tonight is the following. First, we decreased in number our overall suspensions as a school district. Second, we decreased in the gap between suspension rates of white students and students of color. And then the best news of all is we are teaching more. When discipline happens, or is about to happen, we're doing a better and better job, thanks to our PBIS, our positive behavior interventions and support systems that are in each of our schools. And some of our schools are a couple of years ahead in that training than others, but all of our schools are now getting trained together, working with staff, developing systems in our schools. And we're teaching more, and as Connie Garling-Squire, our lead for equity, said, we're trying to continue to shift, kind of replacing punishment with teaching where appropriate. So we want to continue to create more structures, more educational structures where appropriate, and teach more where appropriate. And in the first year of our MDHR and PBIS work district-wide, again, we're seeing a decrease in the number of suspensions. We're not where we want to be, but we're seeing decrease, and decrease in the suspension gap between white kids and students of color. So, brief summary there. Questions? Anything there? Let's go on to the, just that. Thank you.
That's right. I'll
Next.
jump in
Yep.
with the next item.
Thank you, Chris.
We annually do an evaluation of our superintendent, and we do this as a full board. We gather comments and any questions or ratings or whatever that anybody cares to offer, and do this evaluation. We really try to follow the evaluation concept that this should be a review of everything that's been talked about throughout the year, so there are no big surprises or anything like that at the evaluation, and that was recently done. And just a quick statement on that. The evaluation highlighted the continued development of personalized learning for every child in our district. Also, the changes made in response to the community's concerns about the behavior in the schools, which he just touched on with his MDHR update. And then also Dr. Webb's continued engagement with the community and legislature that's aimed at addressing the needs of our district and the Minnesota schools in general. It was a successful school year. We continue to be glad to have Dr. Webb with us, and we look forward to the 2019-2020 school year. Any additions or comments with that? All right, again, something that we've talked about a lot, so it's not surprising. And now we'll hand it back to Dr. Webb for the superintendent's report.
Thank you. And as I'm getting started here with the update, I would just want to do one more shout out to Connie Garling-Squire. She led the process this summer for anti-bullying training weekly for all of our assistant principals here in the district, who then in turn trained our entire administrative team as well. So we heard the community loud and clear. We want to stay focused on anti-bullying, and we want to continue to make sure that we are putting that focus and dotting I's, crossing T's to make sure that that bullying is addressed, bullying is a top priority, bullying is documented well, bullying is communicated well, bullying is managed in partnership with families and parents. And we shared it last time, I'll share it again. Our middle school will have a no cell phone policy, really a procedure. Not policy, it's our procedure. So K-8, we will have no cell phones during the school day. Okay. Superintendent's update for August 26th. So at the meeting just prior to this, our committee of the whole, we had a staffing update. We're in a flurry of just hiring, especially all the cooks and custodians and positions that are really non-teaching positions for the most part, just to make sure all of our systems are set for the start of the year. We got a learning update that you just heard about our IB diploma program, and continuing to build our K-12 IB pathway. One comment that was made about our IB pathway is the expansion of our career programs. So one thing we want to continue to celebrate, we've always had the strongest IB diploma program and K-12 pathway, but we know that's not for every child, and we're building career pathways as a second leg to make sure that we're serving more and more, a broader swath of all of our students here in South St. Paul. That was the IB diploma update. MDHR, I just gave that update as well. And handbooks. Tonight, we have our behavior handbook up for approval. We've worked hard in resetting all of the handbooks into more user-friendly parent handbooks. And so our behavior handbook, which we call the Rights and Responsibilities Handbook, is in front of you for approval for tonight. So we brought it 2 weeks ago, put it on publicly for review, and that's in front of you. So that's the COW meeting update. It's amazing. Here are shots from our team. Already got our opening day's session for a slide in action today. You can see we have our 500 staff in the upper left-hand corner. We had a great afternoon together. Just prior to that, we had food trucks come in, 5 food trucks for our staff to come in and grab some lunch beforehand. And in the morning, we started in each of the sites, which was a new plan. Usually we start with all 500. We got feedback to say, could we start small group? Could we start at our sites, build some relationships, especially with the new teachers, and then come together? We thought it worked well and got some real positive feedback. Here's our newly tenured teachers that received their tenure certificates today. Hats off to them. We have a number of back-to-school dates. We don't expect you to read all of this, but know that it's on our website. First day of school, Tuesday, September 3rd, is the most important date. If you're a kindergarten family, we actually start a couple of days after that and give a little bit more TLC for families to come in, meet one-on-one with those kindergarten teachers in the first couple of days by appointment. So we're reaching out to you now to get those all set up. So lots of good things happening. Our student meal payment system is up and running. School Cafe is replacing PayPams. We're communicating with families. We're getting a lot of online registration into our system, so our communication is working. So thank you to families. We also have a really great online application process for our educational benefits, which some people know as our free and reduced meal program. So if you have any issue with that, call our district office, but most of the people right now are filling those out online, and it's working. Just a reminder of a couple of the tax benefits. There are tax benefits for things like school supplies and things that are fees that you might have to pay as a parent for school products or items and issues that your child needs. So just know that there are tax credits available, and also all of our secondary school devices have those checkout available forms in person on our website. We had 3/4 of the students come to our back-to-school events. If you are still in a family in that 1/4, don't hesitate calling the school, stopping by our secondary to still get set for the start of the school year. And obviously, if you're not able to do that the first day of school, we'll get you set then too. All of our meeting materials and minutes can be found right on our website. If you follow this tree diagram, go to our website, click on our district, click on school board, and click on meeting agendas and minutes for any additional information you wish. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Dr. Webb. We'll move on to the business portion of the meeting. Start off with our consent items, which is the financial claims and the staffing. Do I have a motion for
Chris,
their...
I just am getting a heads up about listening session.
Oh.
There's one more small item about
Please do.
listening session.
Yep.
So the update for listening session is we had 2 community members that came and gave us feedback about how we actually conduct our listening session, and all of the board conversation and discussion about possible structure for listening sessions. So we wanted to make sure that we're reporting back when we have people coming here, that we're sharing back with the community, that we met and followed up. Chris followed up with one of the members, and I followed up with another member as well, and wanted to make sure that that was reported back tonight.
Great. Sorry to cut you off on that, but
Nope, and I'm
It's,
sorry to miss it.
important to be reporting that. So, again, our consent items, the financial claims and the staffing. Do I have a motion for their approval?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. And the consent agenda is passed. Policy, there's nothing coming forward for policy tonight, so we'll skip over that. Next is for the South St. Paul School Board to approve the Flexible Learning Days Plan. And actually, do I have a motion for that approval?
Paul's gotta speak. So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. And for our discussion, we'll invite Paul Brashear, our technology director, to come forward and give us some thoughts on that.
Thank you, Chair Walker, board members. Well, last school year, we lost 7 days to school closing. 6 of those days were due to weather. And whenever we lose a day like that, suddenly it creates not only a vacuum in terms of a lost day of instruction, but it also creates a loss of momentum. Many teachers will tell you that you lose a day like that, suddenly it takes more than a day to catch up again with that loss of momentum. On top of that, when we lose enough days at some areas, especially at our secondary, where the required hours of instruction are higher than at elementary, we run the risk of having to hold makeup days in order to preserve our funding or lose funding. And in fact, we did makeup days last year for our high school students as a result of those school closings. The plan before you tonight addresses both of these issues, all of these issues, by providing a way for us to call on school closing days like this a flexible learning day. What this would look like at the secondary, basically it takes advantage of our one-to-one program, our technology program at the secondary, where every student has a device that they can take home with them, to be able to put learning and engagement with teachers and classmates online. By doing that, the online nature of it itself also allows us to take advantage of another provision called the e-learning day from the state, which allows us to preserve funding for that day if we meet those technology requirements. Most of this will run through the district's new learning management system, Schoology, which our teachers and students will be using day to day for learning purposes. At the elementary, where we don't have a one-to-one program, it'll look a little bit different, and it will consist largely of learning menus, is what we're calling it, that are sent home periodically through the season of closings. They are updated to keep relevant, to stay relevant with our current units of inquiry at the elementary schools. And when an e-learning day is called, students have the ability to choose from the menu relevant activities that will help them continue learning through the day that they can execute independently at home. Both of these methods, it allows us to address our full K through 12 range of grades on a learning day to preserve learning through those days on an e-learning day or a flex learning day. It also, in both cases, keeps the learning relevant. These are not just make-work exercises that are sent home waiting in reserve to be done to keep people busy. These are things that will contribute to the actual current learning that is happening in school. Students and parents will also have access to teachers via email and via phone if they have questions or have other issues that they need to discuss with a teacher during one of these days. Now, in preparation for this, the plan is to do essentially 3 tasks there. One is for staff to do some training on this up front and give them some practice and some help with that, some coaching, some templates, ways to make this go smoothly for them. For parents and families, it'll be communications home about how these days are going to operate, especially as we get closer to the closing season. And then for our students and staff alike, it'll be practice time in school on the procedures and the routines of a flex learning day. So we look forward to bringing this forward into our district, both to have this plan approved and to actually be able to execute it when we do have a closing day. I say when, right? Because it seems inevitable these days. But we're excited also because this dovetails very nicely with the work we're doing with teachers in terms of blended learning. In fact, if you think about 11th and 12th graders who are taking hybrid courses, this flexible learning day will look almost no different than a hybrid day for that class. A lot of the mechanisms are already in place. And for our teachers who have not gotten firm grounding yet in blended learning, there'll be a lot of coaching along the way to be able to do this work for a flexible learning day. So
Great.
if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to entertain them.
If I could just give a shout out to our, Paul had a team of teachers that worked on developing the plan with him, a number of supporters in the district office as well. So we had a lot of teacher voice focus, and I think it will be a great plan. And when we call our first Flex Learning Day, there'll be a lot of questions. So we're going to try to do some practice before that,
Definitely.
get people familiar, and then if we have a 35 below or worse day, we'll have a plan in place. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you for coming out, Paul. It's an exciting change. We'll see what happens. But as he says, it's inevitable. It will happen this winter. So, all right. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Then the motion passes. Next is for the South St. Paul School Board to approve scheduling a special school board meeting on Thursday, August 29th, 2019 at 4:45 in the district office conference room, and that will be a discussion pertinent to the start of the school year. Do I have a motion for that approval?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Then the motion passes and the meeting is scheduled. And then next is for the South St. Paul School Board to approve the Student Rights and Responsibilities Handbook that Dr. Webb gave us an update on a little earlier. Do I have a motion for that approval?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I'd just like to make a quick comment. I'd like to say thank you to those who had input in putting this this booklet together, this handbook that will be made sure that every family gets a copy of it. We do want to make sure, too, so that every family does get their copy, that there is a place for them to sign saying that they have received it. And if the families could sign that and return it to their student's school, that would be great. There's a lot of great information. We got to see a draft of the copy tonight, so I was extremely impressed with what the content in that. So thank you to all those that helped put that handbook together, and we look forward to our families using it. And if you have questions, be sure and contact our district office. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Anyone else?
So just to clarify, so the families will be getting a family handbook kind of in the mail. And at the sites, they'll get kind of the site-specific information and also rights and responsibilities. So what families should expect is that family handbook. So.
Thank you, Dr. Webb. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And that motion passes. The last item is for the South St. Paul School Board to approve the resolution approving employment of the board clerk as a substitute in a classified position in the school district. For that, there is a resolution that will be read and moved by Linda.
Whereas Minnesota statute sections 123B.195 and 471.88, subdivision 5, grant the school district the authority to hire board members for employment. Whereas Wendy Felton, clerk of the South St. Paul Board of Education, is duly qualified for employment as a substitute in a classified position, and whereas the school district wishes to employ Ms. Felton as a substitute in a classified position. Now therefore be it resolved by the South St. Paul School Board of Education as follows, The board hereby approves Ms. Felton for employment as a substitute in a classified position in the school district. In accordance with Minnesota statutes sections 123B.195, Ms. Felton's compensation as a result of this employment relationship with the school district must not exceed $8,000 per fiscal year. Number 2, Ms. Felton will be paid no more than the 2019-2020 rate of pay listed below for the designated classified substitute assignment: food service substitute, lunchroom supervisor, bus aide substitute, kids' choice assistant substitute, and clerical substitute. These are the same rates paid to all substitute in classified positions in the school district, and is as low as the price of obtaining substitute services from someone other than Ms. Felton.
Thank you, Linda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, Wendy, please call the roll.
I will be abstaining from this. Inspector Aaron,
Yes.
Inspector Lalaberty,
Yes.
Inspector Diaz,
Yes.
Inspector McClellan,
Yes.
Inspector Walker.
Yes.
6 yeas.
Thank you. The resolution is approved.
5 yeas, I'm sorry, 5 yeas.
That's good clarification. Thank you. So that takes us to our informational items and our board member reports. We'll start with Linda off. Am I right?
Yeah, just a reminder, tomorrow is the citywide celebration for the suffrage event that will be held at Clark Grace Church. I said last meeting that it was 5:30. You can definitely come at 5:30 if you'd like. There's an art show and desserts and everything, but it really doesn't start till 7. Yeah, so please, we'd love to see you there.
Thank you. And Jeff?
Nothing tonight.
All right, thanks. Off to Nikki.
Nothing tonight.
Bill?
If you're by the Lincoln Center, the new playground is installed. There's 2 of them there, and the kids seem to be taking to it. That it's very popular, and it's money well spent. So,
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Wendy?
Even though I was unable to attend the staff meeting this morning at the secondary building, I was able to attend part of the new staff breakfast last week that was held for our new members of our staff, certified staff. That was great. A special thank you to Lisa Brandecker and Jody Shannon for getting the food and getting everything all set up for it. It was a really nice setup. Even though I couldn't eat, it was very nice of them to do that. So we want to thank them for that. And just a reminder, as we know, school starts next week. It should be a lot of fun. Fall sports are up and running, so if you get a chance to attend any of our sporting events, please take advantage of that. And just remind everyone, have a safe Labor Day, and we will see you next week as school gets started. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. We are having a closed session tonight as part of the continuing contract negotiation. So I'm looking for a motion to go into the closed session.
So moved.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Any opposed, nay. The motion passes and the meeting is closed.